Alright, welcome back to Jay Creates. So, I really haven't filmed anything in a while because it has been so cold here in Massachusetts. It's been in the mid to low teens for what seems like the last 2 months, but I'm sure it hasn't been that long. But it's been long enough for me to not want to come out here in the garage, because to make it tolerable in here, that wood stove's got to be going for a few hours before I even come in here. I did want to film something because it has been so long. Like, I got a bunch of scrap out there. Let me see if I can put something together. And I got a bucket full of this brown stuff. Looks like walnut to me, especially when it's cleaned up. And I had some poplar, so I milled it up, cleaned it up, and put these two crates together. Just kind of rustic style looking crates. They are 8 inches by 8.5 inches. So I thought today, let's make a quick video. Let's build one of these, but we're going to do it a little bit differently. I'm going to go ahead and use cherry and what I believe is walnut. It really looks like walnut when it's cleaned up. Right now it just looks like brown, dirty wood. But alright, so for this project, this piece of cherry that I want to use, we are at 18 3/4 inches. I think I'm only going to do... maybe I'll do the same as that one. I did 8 inches, so we'll need 16 inches of this. But this piece is like 3 5/8 down on this end, and on this end it's 3 7/16. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to run this through the table saw. I'm going to rip the whole thing down to be 3 inches, and then we'll cut our two 8-inch pieces out of that. But before we get the table saw out, I'm going to take these 2 chunks of walnut here. The walnut is 18.5 inches long, 1.5 inches wide, and 1 inch thick. I'm going to run the walnut over here on the jointer, clean up one edge and one face. So, got the walnut cleaned up, ran it through the jointer, cleaned up the edge and one face. So I'm just going to go ahead and run this through. I already have this set for a quarter of an inch. It's still set from yesterday. So I'm just going to go ahead, run these things through, cut as many strips as I can out of here. I got the table saw set to 3 inches, so I'm going to rip this cherry, make sure that's the same size all the way down. Did leave the walnut just a little bit thicker than 1/4 of an inch because I wanted to run them through the planer to help reduce the sanding time. Alright, so I'm going to call an audible here. So I decided while I was sanding the slats up, excuse me, that since I'm using the good, nice cherry and walnut here, a little brain fart. So I'm using the nice cherry and the walnut. Not that this isn't nice, it's got the walnut. And I personally do like the way poplar looks. So while I was sanding, I was thinking about where I would use this one I was making with cherry for the sides of, this and the slats. And I'm like, I know I got some more cherry somewhere. So instead of making the bottom of slats, I'm going to make the bottom solid out of this piece of cherry. And then we'll use cherry on the ends, and then we'll use the slats for the sides. And what I'll do is I'll turn this into like a fruit basket, or what is really going to end up probably if my other half wants to. On top of our fridge we have just a plastic like bucket bowl kind of thing with a handle on each end. Just a cheap like dollar store thing that we keep our onions in. So I'm thinking maybe we'll make that look a little bit better, and we'll put together a cherry and walnut little basket for her to keep our onions in. So that's what I'm aiming for at this point now. I think we'll stick with the 8. Okay, so it'll be at least 8 inches wide, right? But I'm gonna want to make it longer so we can get a bunch of onions in there. So we'll still cut the end pieces at 8. So this piece is 14 3/8. So I'm thinking maybe we do it at 12. We'll cut this down to 12. So we'll have a 12-inch long basket with 2 cherry pieces on the end and then some slats on the side. So we'll just have to measure and cut these differently than we are this. So to get that done, I am going to take this and rip it on the table saw to make sure it's all the exact same size. And we want to do, we're thinking 8 inches, right? We don't have 8 inches here, but we do have 7.5. So that's what it's going to be. All right, so we got this cut down to, ripped down to 7.5 in width all the way along. We need a 12-inch cut out of here. There is a yucky part here I want to get rid of. I'm going to go this side. We want 7.5 on the ends. So I'm just going to do 1 at 7.5 from that end. And then we'll go 7.5 from this end. And then we'll X out the middle there. I'm not going to bore you with the sanding. I'll come back after it is done. But like I said, we're not doing any fancy joinery here. We're going to be, you know, like a little bit rustic on this. We're just going to do some butt joints right on the end here. So I'm going to use some wood glue. Some wood glue and brad nails. And then I'm going to put a couple clamps on just to let it sit for a few minutes. And then we're going to figure this out. Don't fall over on me. So I'm just going to put this clamp on so I can turn it and make sure it's flush. Alright, so I got that flush there. Now I'm going to do the same thing with this side. Alright, so now I am going to put the clamps on and let it sit for a little while. So put one on this side, one down here. Alright, so we are back. It is the next day. The other projects and this one I had going on kind of ran out of time yesterday. So we got the base done, right? It's already sanded. I did like a little water pop, right? I got it wiped down with a wet rag. All the grain raised up. I sanded it all back down smooth, and we are good to go to put the edges on. The edges, I mean the slats. So I think I decided I was going to put one on the bottom, one on the very bottom, one on the very top, and that'll contrast the cherry very nicely, especially when I get the oil on it. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to cut these slats to length, and we are at 13 3/8 of an inch. So I need to cut 4 slats at 13 3/8. there's our 4 at 13 3/8. I'm going to go flush to the top, flush to the bottom. Flush to the top, flush to the bottom. Put a little dab of glue on here. Flush to the top, flush to the sides. I'll go ahead and stick one brad nail in it. And we'll do the same thing on the bottom. Flush to the sides, flush on the bottom. And that one just split on me on both ends. It's okay. I'll show you how we're going to fix that. Technically, I could tear that off and put a different slat on, and I may or may not get a split on that one as well. I'm going to leave that on, being that's, you know, it's already good. It's not really going to go anywhere with the glue. You just don't want the crack to continue. So I'll show you how we're going to fix that. But let me do the other side first, and then I'll show you how we're going to do the glue. Or the glue. Yeah, I guess you can call it glue. The CA glue to fill in that crack. Alright, that's what it's going to look like. So on the inside, you got a little bit of a lip here, so nothing just kind of rolls out. And then you have your top railing. So we're going to let that sit for a minute. I'm going to go get the CA glue. I'm going to use CA glue to fill in those cracks. And then we'll just sand right over it. And it'll kind of blend in because I have a dark brown CA glue. So to use the CA glue for this purpose, we have a little bit of a crack here. Goes from here to here. So like I said, I have a dark brown. And CA glue is just another word for super glue, right? So I have black. Then I have, this is what we're going to use here. This is a dark brown, and it's medium thick. And then I have, you know, some clear, thin, medium thick, and thick. So instead of replacing this piece, I'm going to keep the crack from spreading. I'm going to spread a little bit of, ooh, it's already coming out. So it might be too much, but that's okay. It's going to get sanded. I'm going to kind of let that go into this crack there. So CA glue on its own, if you just let it sit, it will dry eventually. But for woodworking and craft and other purposes, whatever they may be, they sell this stuff. It's called an activator. So it's like acetone or something else in there with that makes the bond of CA glue like 2 to 3 seconds. So you put your CA glue on. I'm gonna put a little bit in, a little bit more, and you hit it with the activator. Give it about 3 seconds and you're good to go. You touch it, it's hard, it's dried, it's bonded, it's good to go. I'm gonna let that sit. I'm gonna flip it over. This one's got a really big crack on both ends. Like I said, it's a little bit more of a rustic look. Actually, that one, they all started to crack. So I'm just gonna go ahead and keep it rustic and just fill these cracks with the CA glue. This project is taking longer than it should. Just trying to record and feed the wood stove, fix my little mess ups. So we're ready to put the cutting board oil on. It's just, I know this is not a cutting board, but it's, you know, it's going to be food grade mineral oil, right? They just call it cutting board oil. So you can see with the CA glue filled in here and here, this big one up here. So just kind of looks black or dark brown at the moment. You can tell that there's something in here, but the rest of them seem pretty blended in. It's just that this one was so big. So the glue is on the inside. That's going to hold that together, along with the wood glue and the brad nail. And now we're going to go ahead and slap some oil on this thing. So like I said, this is not a cutting board, but we are going to use cutting board oil. And all this is food grade mineral oil, enhanced or enriched with vitamin E. And I'm just going to pour it on and rub it in with my hands. Soak it at least for 20 minutes. So we're going to put this on, rub it all over the place, get it all on there. Oh man, that cherry looks awesome. So we're going to get it all into the wood, every little nook and cranny. Then we're going to let it sit for about 20 minutes. Then we're going to buff it out. And then maybe do it again. I don't know. We'll see how it looks, but look at that right there. Look at how beautiful and shiny that cherry is with the oil on it. Get it into the crevices. So I'm just going to have at it, cue the music, and we'll speed it up a little bit for you. I made this little crate, and now it's done, right? Got the beautiful walnut and cherry there. It's got it all shined up with the oil on it. And the oil is just, you know, the cutting board oil, mineral oil. So we're just going to take this home and figure out something to do with it. Maybe we'll put some, you know, vegetables or some potatoes or onions in there, stick it on top of the fridge, or maybe we'll use it for something else. But I think it looks awesome. And maybe in the future I can build a bunch more of these and sell them somewhere. Anyway, leave me a comment below. Let me know what you think about this video, this project. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. It is free to subscribe, so please do it. And I'll catch you on the next one. Thanks. I'll buff it out a little bit more. There's a little behind the scenes for you. Again, I totally forgot to put my brand on there, so I'm going to hit it with the branding iron now. Probably have to put a little oil back on it and sand it a little bit, but it is what it is. I guess I don't need to brand it since it is going to be at home, but I got the brand, might as well use it.